Okay, so I'm doing the forecast for this week of August 20th. And this is the time we're going to be having the moon going through the last section of the Zodiac. And it's the section of the Zodiac where we have the signs ruled by Jupiter and Saturn. So this is the section of the Zodiac where all of the signs and the nakshatras and everything lines up in support of the soul leaving this world, making peace with this world, and moving on to the next. And so it's very much a time this week of connecting with our higher spiritual purpose beyond just this world, and having the confidence in ourselves and who we really are to put our teachings into practice and to move toward liberation and that higher self. So I say that because the qualities of this week are going to be most informed by where the moon is traveling. This is always the case. And the moon is traveling this week through this section of the Zodiac of Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And that section of the Zodiac is where the soul is being liberated. And again, you see this really come together through not just the signs, but also the nakshatras in this section of the Zodiac. And of course, Vedic astrology uses and brings together the 12 signs, the 12 portions of the sidereal sky with the 27 portions of the lunar. And they're called solar and lunar because the moon moves into each nakshatra each day. It takes 27 days for the moon to go around the earth. But then in one lunar cycle of the moon going around the earth, the earth goes around the sun, and that takes 30 days. So they're roughly correlated to each other. And you have this lunation cycle of waxing and waning moons, which are 30 days. And so the time it takes the earth to go around, the time that it takes the sun and moon to wax and wane one cycle, the earth has gone about 30 degrees around the sun. So this is why you have those 30-degree portions. Those are the first 30-degree portions. And by the way, you had those back in the Rig Veda and whatnot before you even had astrology signs. There were 12 months called Saura months that are related to the sun, and they're months. Literally, they're months of the year. And this is why those 12 months of the year that are related to the calendar are different than the 12 zodiac signs related to the portions of the sky. So this is why the 12 portions that we measure with the Earth's orbit around the sun are 12 months. But we still break up the year into 12 sections. We break up the sky into 12 sections because of the full moons and the new moons in different 12 portions, 12 30-degree portions. And again, this was done back into the midst of time, all of it measured sidereally. So you really see, especially when you start measuring the nakshatras and the rashis, you see that in the different sections of the sky, you have different nakshatra rulers and different groups of rulers. So, for example, in the first section of the zodiac, from Aries to Cancer, you have a lot of the deities which, for example, initiate creation, like Ashwini and the horses starting creation. This is creation getting started and being created. You have the creation myth of the sun and his wife in Ashwini, and Vishwakarma putting the sun on the cosmic lathe and distributing its energy amongst the 7 planets. And then the myth about where the sun doesn't recognize his wife, so the wife turns herself into a horse and runs down, and then the sun comes down and mates with the horse and creates beings. So the whole first section of the zodiac is also the other creation myth about Brahma and his daughter and creating beings to populate the earth, creating beings of form and flesh on earth like we have, so that we can incarnate to work through our karma, to live as an incarnated being and evolve our karmas. So the whole first section of the zodiac, from Aries to Cancer, the nakshatras, the myths of the nakshatras, all support that. They support that creation story, that creation myth. And it even culminates with the last nakshatra, where Cancer becomes Leo, the end of Cancer, with the nakshatra of Aslesha and the symbol of Adishesha, which is Lord Vishnu asleep with the 1,000-hooded serpent over him, which is the prelude to this world. This is why then the middle section of the zodiac, from Leo to Scorpio, you have all of these Adityas, or these incarnations of the sun that are meant to give us a fruitful, happy, prosperous, and spiritual life on earth. The Adityas were the progeny of Aditi, and they're the deities of the sun, incarnations of the sun that are meant to help us, again, live a life of spiritual growth, awareness, light, like Bhagha, the god of delight, Savitur, the god of prosperity, Mitra, the god of friendliness, Aryaman, the god of contracts, Vishwakarma, the god of architecture and structure. These are all in that middle section of the zodiac, from Leo to Scorpio. And you can also see by the modality of the signs. The first 4 signs are cardinal signs. There are 2 cardinal signs on either end, Aries and Cancer, which are initiating. In the middle section of the zodiac, where you have all of those nakshatras that are about creation and preservation of creation, there are 2 fixed signs, Leo and Scorpio, where life is stable and the earth is stable, and we live our life according to our karmas on this earth. Then the last section of the zodiac, which is what we're going to have this week, these are the signs ruled by Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter, which is about finding higher meaning and purpose, in Sagittarius, and then letting go of all of it in Pisces. So in Sagittarius, we find meaning, hope, and purpose. After the insecurities of Scorpio, we find meaning, hope, purpose, teachers in Sagittarius. Then Capricorn, we have to take that belief of Sagittarius and put it into practice with hard work, determination through Capricorn. Then we share that with the world. We share our hard-won spiritual lessons and life lessons with the world in Aquarius to make the world a better place, better than we found it, so that we can let go of it all and leave it in Pisces and surrender and let go. So that final evolutionary path and evolutionary course and soul's course is what's going to be important this week of August 20th, 2018. And as I said, the nakshatras in this section of the zodiac also really show this. This is why it's very clear and obvious that the nakshatras and the rashis are linked. They always have been. And again, once you start to really look at the connection to the rashis, there's really no other way to see it. This first section of Sagittarius and Mula Nakshatra, where we take that, where we go deep and uproot, pull out those bad impurities and that toxic emotion by the roots. We pull it out and we have to plant new seeds instead. This is why Mula literally means root, to pull out by the roots and to plant seeds. These are symbols of Mula Nakshatra, which is the first section of Sagittarius, because before we can have a good belief system, we usually have to pull out the old one. Even people who say they don't believe, that's a belief. Atheism and cynicism and is also a belief. So whatever the toxic belief is that has your life in a kind of toxic mess, the first step to transcendence is to pull that out and go uproot it and plant seeds of truth and good teachings. That's the first section of Sagittarius. Then the next section is Purva, which has to do with the god of the ocean, Apas, related to water and love and devotion and bhakti. Purva, excuse me. Purva means early victory, related to the god of Apas, the ocean, and water. Of course, water and love and is about love and nurturing. So we just planted these seeds. If we want those seeds to grow, we need love and nurturing, just like a child, just like a person, just like anything that you want to grow in your life. First, you have to uproot the thing that was stopping you from growing the thing in your life. First, you got to pull out and make some space for something else to grow. That's Mula. Then you plant those new seeds. That's all happening in Mula. That's why it's uprooting and planting. Then in Purva, you have to nurture those seeds with love and care. Let's say that you want to learn astrology, for example, or something. That's something that you want to grow in your life. First of all, you have to uproot something else that's blocking your energy or that's taking up your time. You have to pull something out of the way. You got to pull up those weeds before you can grow flowers. Pull out the weeds and plant the new seeds. But then if you just plant the seeds and don't nurture it, you don't take care of it, you don't protect it, then that's also sort of useless. So again, this is a quality of Purva. The early victory comes from the care and the devotion to the project itself, right? So, your spiritual growth or your awareness or the thing that you're trying to grow in your life or anything, even like a child, you have to be devoted to it. You have to be devoted to that thing. You can't just say, oh, I want it. Oh, it's hard. Forget it. Nothing happens in life that way. So again, this section of the Zodiac is really those big universal concepts where we're leaving the world. Aries to Cancer is where the world is starting and we're starting. You can even look at it as our life. Aries to Cancer is like the early part of life. Leo to Scorpio is like the part of life where we're bogged down in responsibility and duty and building a stable life. Sagittarius to Pisces is where we're making peace with the world. Okay, that's the way the world is now. I need to leave it. I need to return to my soul nature. So first that starts with the right belief, which means uprooting the wrong belief, planting the seeds, and then you need to nurture it, and you need to be devoted to that project of the soul's the soul's the soul's evolution and the soul. What was I going to say? Transformation. Why did I lose that word? I was thinking transmission. Anyway, the soul's transformation. You have to be devoted to it, right? And this is what Sagittarius is. It's that quality of Sagittarius, to be devoted to that higher purpose. And Sagittarius is where we can sense that higher purpose. We sense that meaning and purpose. In fact, that's the only thing that's meaningful, is how much we've learned and grow in our life. Because one day we have to let go of it all. We have to leave it all. So then Uttarashada is the later victory, which after we nurture those seeds and it starts to grow and that thing starts to take root in our life and starts to become something. If we want to really make it a bulwark and a structure in our life, then the later victory, Uttarashada, comes from the Vishwadevas, or the universal forces like time, action, desire. And we have to really focus on it and keep doing those things over and over again. That's the section where Sagittarius becomes Capricorn. So you also see in the Nakshatra Rasi overlap, where the nakshatras overlap and bridge the two Rashis. It's so important, and it's so obvious. It's so telling, because Uttarashada is literally where we take. It's the last section of Sagittarius, the first section of Capricorn. It's where we take that inspiration and purpose, those seeds that we planted and nurtured. We take all of that early victory, that early hope and devotion, and then we apply the universal principles to it at the beginning of Sagittarius, but then most of it is in Capricorn, where we have to focus, be determined, be dedicated, and in it for the long haul. Those are the qualities of Capricorn. So you see Uttarashada is the last section of Sagittarius, where that hope, inspiration becomes commitment, working hard, understanding that we're in it for the long haul, making peace with the problems and the setbacks and the difficulties that usually break us. Those things usually break us. So we can have earlier victories. Again, look at it this way: early victory of Purva Ashada, and be excited about something and start to grow something a little bit. Like, let's say you're interested in studying astrology. Maybe you have some early victories where, oh, this is fun, I like it. Yes, but then once it gets into hard work, focus, get in there and actually do something with it. Oh, I don't know. It's a lot of work. Oh, I don't know. And again, it's not a judgment. It just shows that those things that do become structures in your life are because you love them so much, your desire for it. You have a desire for that thing. You love it. It's dharmic. It's your dharma. It's your purpose. You're willing to put in the time, kala, the action, karma. You're willing to do all of those things. And if you're willing to do all of those things, then it becomes something that is a structure in your life. Now, again, this is also in an ultimate sense about your own liberation. We're all excited about, oh, I learned something new. I found this great teacher. It's so exciting. I'm so devoted to it. And then the teacher actually starts making you work. And you're like, oh, I don't know. Not so exciting anymore. You mean I got to get up early? Oh, I don't want to do that. You mean I can't just lay around and watch TV? I don't want to do that. You mean I got to I got to sit and do yoga and do all this hard stuff? Oh my God. I don't know about that spirituality stuff. Maybe I'll just keep reading books and just kind of enjoying. Well, that's fine. That's kind of hanging out in that earlier victory. You're still kind of watering the seeds. You're still kind of nurturing the seeds. You're still kind of just feeling good about it. There's nothing wrong with that. But understand that's kind of the stage. This is the stage of anything that grows in our life. We plant seeds. We have to nurture those seeds. It starts to grow a little bit. This is the stage where we feel good about it. This is where a lot of astrology students kind of hang out in that, because they used to have certain kinds of beliefs. They believed certain things that weren't so good. Then they find something like astrology, and it kind of uproots some of those other beliefs. They start to plant some of those seeds that, oh, okay, watching videos or doing kind of things. Okay. They start to nurture that a little bit. Okay. But then you got to really learn it. And it's because it takes work, right? So with anything, that's kind of the growth of victory. So you want to understand when it says victory, that's what it means. Purva Ashada is early victory. Uttarashada is later victory. And it means victory over your lower tendencies, because there's always a struggle going on. Life is a battlefield. That's why the Bhagavad Gita happens on a battlefield. And it's not just battling other people. In fact, that's the least important battle. It's battling your own tendencies. Battling your own tendencies to stay stuck, to stay ignorant, to stay asleep, to not wake up. So you look at this as a story. Then after Uttarashada and the victory, Capricorn, then there's Shravana, which is about listening and hearing, listening to the heart, listening to the silence and stillness in the heart. Now this is Capricorn. And the capacity to manifest and build that structure based on how well we can listen and how well we can adjust and manifest in accordance with the sound and the word and the in clarity and stillness. So this is Lord Vishnu. It's ruled by Lord Vishnu, the maintainer, the one who manifests and maintains everything in silence and stillness of Capricorn. This is why, of all the signs, stillness, silence, Capricorn and Saturn are the planets that really show that. When someone has a powerful Saturn or prominent Saturn, they have to have a relationship with stillness, and that's a great benefit. If we don't know ourselves, stillness is very scary because stillness doesn't have an object or a subject. True stillness can be unnerving when we become aware of the chattering in our mind when we try to connect to stillness. So that section of Capricorn related to stillness and silence is Shravana, and how once we make a commitment and we say that, like, let's say we want to learn something and we want to change our life, we have to introspect and listen to the voice of our soul and silence and peace to really have it go deep. Again, because we're so much on the surface. And it's not until something goes really deep into that heart of silence and stillness in our soul that it really takes root. And that's that quality of Capricorn. Once that happens, we have Dhanishta. Now, Dhanishta used to be called Shravishta. So it's kind of it has a lot of qualities of Shravana. Dhanishta does. Dhanishta is in between, equally between Capricorn and Aquarius. So it's where that silence and stillness and that potential creativity, again, it's very creative. Capricorn is very much about manifesting, building things, making something structural that includes wealth and all those things that everybody wants in their life. But again, it's also the spiritual wealth, the spiritual structure, taking that inner silence and peace and creating value and wealth out of it. And of course, we're meant to have plenty of money and all that too. All those things they're not separate. They're only separate when we have inner conflicts. People who have introspected about who they are and their true nature, and they've gone through this process, they don't have any conflict about making all the money in the world. There's no conflict. It's like, well, money, I could have money or not have money. That's not the point, right? But money definitely, especially in Dhanishta, the Capricorn Aquarius section, definitely has a lot to do with done or value and money, but it's more values, because we can make a lot of money, but if it's incongruent with our values, we don't enjoy it. We give it away, not actually give it away, but we lose it. We feel guilty about it. So there's a whole lot of stuff that comes when people have this dream, oh, if I just had a lot of money. Well, if you didn't earn it, you might feel guilty. If you didn't really know what to do once you had it, you could just blow it and blow yourself up. Doesn't really solve your problems at all. So that quality of Shravana and listening and introspection leads to value and wealth in Dhanishta, hopefully like spiritual wealth. The symbol is the drum of creation. And then after that creativity of Dhanishta, it's ruled by the 8 Vasus, which are the 8 principles of life. They could be described as the 3 gunas and the 5 elements. There's also other, as it says in, I believe it's in, I don't remember the text, but the 8 qualities are stars, wind, sun, moon, which actually correlate to the elements and gunas as well. But then Dhanishta becomes Shatabhishak, which means 100 physicians, 100 doctors, 100 medicines. And, remember, this is now where we're in Aquarius, and the soul is becoming universalized at that point. So even in Dhanishta, our personal values, our personal wealth in Capricorn, because it's much more personal and emotional in Capricorn, becomes universal values, universal wealth, universal creation in the section of Dhanishta that is in Aquarius. So again, Dhanishta is in between 2 Rashis equally. in between Capricorn and Aquarius. This is literally where personal values and personal, wealth and creativity becomes universal values, wealth, creativity. Because you see what happens with great saints as their soul, as it becomes liberated. Again, money stops being anything. It's not like my money. It's like, it's my money, but it's like, it's universal wealth and value, and there's people become charitable and whatnot, and they stop being so possessive. That's literally what Aquarius is. It's where the soul is being universalized and not so possessive. So it starts with Dhanishta, where values, wealth, literally like our money and all those things, becomes more of a universal concept. Just like in Star Trek. If you ever feel hopeless about life, just watch Star Trek and say, boy, I hope one day it's like this. Where there's no more money, there's no more greed. Everybody has enough. And nobody goes to war over these stupid things and kills each other over it. So it's very Aquarius-like, because especially money and all of that becomes universal. That's the beginning of Aquarius. Then Shatabishak is where then we start to connect with something higher. It's literally means the 100 doctors. And it's where we find spiritual healing, metaphysical healing, as we stop being so possessive and worried about our own mortality, which has a lot to do with Capricorn. We become universalized. We become a universal, being. My identity is just part of a universal identity. And because I know this is not me, the best I can do while I'm here is leave the world better than I found it, be of service. This is why, this is the quality, this is what service should be about. Because I know the true nature of self, and this isn't me, I'm just going to serve and leave the world better than I found it. And so then this is where Shatabishak, 100 doctors, that idea comes into play. Now, on a more worldly level, it shows where we might have some kind of sickness or illness, but it's not a worldly illness. It's often something that can only be healed metaphysically by finding alternative medicine. So we might have to go to 100 doctors to find the cure, but it's often the cure that we have ourselves, because we're the source of healing, but we don't know it. So again, these are very deep concepts. So once we know the self better and we understand and we've universalized our values, automatically great healing rains down. And it literally rains down because Varuna is the deity of Shatabishak, and it's literally related to the upper, like the atmosphere and the clouds and the moisture in the air and all of that sort of creative potential, that sort of kinetic energy that's it's also in the mind, where we sense this big thing, but we're not really living it yet. So it can be kind of stressful in that regard, but it's where that is very ripe for a creative inspiration and creative healing. And then that leads to Purva Bhadra, which is where Aquarius becomes Pisces. So then the last section of Aquarius becomes Pisces, and these qualities of making the world a better place and all of that, we even let go of that. We say, I'm not even here to make the world a better place. I'm here to connect to my universal nature. That's who I really am. I'm not a being who is even just here to serve and make the world a better place and be a citizen of the world. That's a byproduct of my true nature, which is as a spiritual being having a human experience. Those are the qualities of Pisces. Purva Bhadra bridges that Aquarius, Pisces axis or boundary. So how does it do it? Well, Purva Bhadra is ruled by a deity called Aja Ekapad, which is paired with the deity of Uttara Bhadrapada called Ahibunya. These two are what are called Rudras, which are related to Lord Shiva. There's a lot of Shiva energy here of destruction, transformation, energy from beyond interceding into this world. So Uttarashada, Uttara Bhadra, one more time, Purva Bhadrapada is where that energy of Shatabhishak, where the atmosphere is charged with a lot of potential, leads to lightning and awareness and breakthroughs that give us a glimpse of who we are beyond this world. That awareness that we're a spiritual being doesn't just happen all at once. It comes in glimpses and shocks and lightning. If you've ever had that, and you know what I mean, the first times you start meditating, you don't really know what's going on. But if you keep doing it, you keep persevering. Again, a lot of this is the Sagittarius to Capricorn. You get some teachings, you believe the teachings, and it says sit there and meditate. You try to meditate, it's hard, and you give up. No, if you keep trying, Capricorn, you keep doing it because you say nothing's happened yet, but that's what they said. They said it would take a while, so I'm going to keep doing it, connecting deeper and deeper into myself, connecting to the heart, listening, getting closer and closer. I'm really connecting with silence. All of a sudden, bam, you get a lightning strike from beyond. It's called Satori, I think, in Buddhism. It might be also India, in Hinduism, but it's a glimpse. You get a glimpse of that thing that's beyond. That thing that's even beyond your utopic vision of saving the world. And that glimpse is your true nature of what's literally beyond. A glimpse of that world that you start to encounter in Pisces, which is beyond, not of this world, where there's almost really no correlation. And that lightning strike is, and the deity is called Aja Ekapad, which translates into a few things, but Ekapad literally means 1 foot. Aja generally means an animal, but it's said to be a goat. So it's said to be 1-footed goat. And I think it's a symbol of lightning because lightning strikes in one spot, like 1 foot. And it's called, Purva Bhadrapada. Pada means foot, but it also means other things as well. Pada is also another way to say it. But the symbol of the foot also comes down, coming down as lightning makes a lot of sense here. And Purva Bhadrapada and Uttar Bhadrapada also form these 2 legs of a cot, the funeral cot. Again, it's like the deathbed. So this is very much about this quality. Again, the first legs are in Aquarius, which is literally you have 2 legs in this world of Aquarius. Aquarius, you're still in the world. Pisces, you're not in the world anymore. So the back legs of the cot are the last pada of Purva Bhadra and all of Uttara Bhadra. So it's almost equal in both signs. So it's literally where your life in this world dies, on the funeral cot of Purva Bhadra and Uttara Bhadra. Purva Bhadra is the lightning strike that gives you a glimpse of what's beyond, and Uttara Bhadra is where the celestial serpent, Ahibudnya, goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into your mind and soul and spirit and heart, those qualities of Pisces, into that which is beyond. Because that's what Pisces is what's beyond. Purva Bhadra gives you the lightning strike to transition from Aries as the cosmic citizen of the world, as like a citizen of the world. No, you get this awareness. No, that's not who I am ultimately. I am literally beyond this world. Before I just believed it. I just had this belief about that. But now I've had the experience. After doing yoga and meditation, again, this is why I tell people, sorry to inform you, but that's the only thing that's going to work. At some point, as I say in somewhat sarcastic terms, you just need to sit down and shut up and sit there and wait. It's called surrender. That is literally the only thing to do. People are always like, great, I'll get a reading and I can learn what to do to become liberated. You don't want to know what to do to become liberated. Because every time I tell people, they're like, well, I don't want to do that. Okay, I know that, but what gem do I wear? No. At some point, you just got to sit there and shut up and wait for the lightning strike to show you, because you can't do it. It's the you who's trying to do it that's blocking it. That ego who thinks I'm going to do something to become liberated is the problem, is the barrier. It's the you who's causing the barrier. This is why, again, it happens in surrender. Hardest thing you'll do, surrender. And it's related to Pisces. It's where we realize this is not me. This earth is not me. Okay, I give up. I give up trying to win life. I give up thinking my ego is going to actually win over death, over my fear. It ain't going to happen. Okay, I get it. And it's actually very liberating, frankly. And this word liberation is used all the time, but it's usually not liberating. Usually, when we get liberated from something, it gets taken away and we suffer. So Pisces is that section where there's liberation, and the first part of it is the lightning strike that comes from Aquarius to Pisces. And then the Aja Ekapada, the one-footed goat lightning, and then the next nakshatra ruler, Ahipunya, goes deeper and deeper into that mind and consciousness and soul and feeling nature. That's the part of us that needs to surrender, because we're guarded emotionally and psychologically, because we're afraid we're going to die, and you are. Especially the ego is the part that's afraid of death. The soul isn't, because the soul has died millions of times. It's the ego that's afraid of death. So you need to face that, and you need to go deeper into the heart and dismantle that protective identity. It's a protective identity. And that's what the ego is for. There's nothing wrong with it. Even once someone becomes liberated, they still have an ego. Not necessarily maybe to protect them from death, because they're not afraid of death anymore. But the ego is how we interact with the world. Me talking, I'm talking through my ego. It's your separate self. It's the body and all that it does, and language and stuff we need to do to stay alive. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just we've mistaken that to be the whole thing. And our soul is there yearning, saying, this isn't the whole thing. We want to try to have it all. But can I be liberated and have an ego? Well, yeah, but first you got to be liberated, not have an ego. The only way to get liberated is to not have the ego. So then after Purva Bhadra, after the deathbed, after you lay on the deathbed of the Bhadras, then there's Revati, the last nakshatra. Because you might say, well, wouldn't the death be the last? No. It's the death of the ego, the death of your preconceptions. The last one is then Revati. This is where the surrender comes in. The death of the ego part, the Purva Bhadra, Uttar Bhadra, is a lot of painful, it's a lot of facing the pain of death, dismantling the ego. The last part of it, once that happens, is very easy. In fact, it's utterly blissful, utterly peaceful. It's very gentle. It's the most gentle. After you go through all of that life, then Revati, ruled by the god Pushan, the shepherd, just leads you home. It's just like, once you surrender, you can say, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't get it. I get it, that I don't get it. Then the shepherd, Revati, shows up and just guides the soul home after that long and weary journey that started all the way back in Aries and the Ashwini, where you were hot with life. Yay, here I am, I'm alive. I'm Taurus, I'm a child, I'm getting fed, I'm getting suckled. Now I'm Gemini, I'm curious. Now Cancer, now I'm starting to grow up and I feel emotionally confused. Leo, I'm a strong young individual. Virgo, I have a lot of ideas and things I need to organize and manage. Libra, I have relationships with people. Scorpio, when I am insecure about losing everything I've built. Then Sagittarius, I have to look for a higher answer, because this sure as hell ain't all that it's cracked up to be. Right, Sagittarius. Capricorn, I need to focus and commit to that. Aquarius, now I've committed and I realize that there's something deeper and I can serve the world. Pisces, well, I'm not even of the world. I'm this universal being. Yay, I can relax and let go. The last step of that is Revati. It's very gentle. That's why it's the most gentle nakshatra in the whole zodiac. It's almost like it has no capacity for harm or anything. It's the most selfless. it can only serve and help. And it's literally where the soul is letting go and being liberated. And that last section of the journey is very easy. So again, the way you can see this is as you're doing your meditations and whatnot, you have different levels of this, different layers. It's not just ultimate liberation. It's even when you have different breakthroughs at different levels of your stages of awareness and meditation, you go through a stage that's really hard at one stage, but then you kind of break through and you have to surrender into it at that stage. You have to surrender and relax into the stress and worry and pain of that level. And then when you do, it's calming. And then you can exist in that level for a while. But then that level starts to go a little deeper. And then that's scary. It's scarier still because you're unpeeling different layers and veils of your ego. And each layer gets a little more intense. But as you unpeel those layers, it's the same process. It's different layers of your ego dying at different stages, and it's the same process that I just described. It's the same level of dying and then being gently shepherded through that level. Like, okay, I can exist in this much space. I have this much space. I can feel that. And sometimes people will stop. Okay, that's enough space. That's enough liberation. That's enough moksha. And here's the thing that I find with people. This is what the ego does. It tries to have it all. It says, I want to meditate just enough. I want to be just spiritual enough so I can still have all my ego and all the stuff I want, but not be all weirded out by insecurities. That's what we do. Can I just meditate enough to still have an ego and be calm enough so where I'm not ready to, jump off the bridge every time Saturn aspects one of my planets? I'm sorry to laugh. It's not funny, but it kind of is, because this is what the ego does. It tries, but I still have to work. I still have career. So that's part of the ego. You can't just be spiritual. This is the kind of things. Again, as if it's a zero-sum game. You are spiritual. There's no way around it. It's just a matter of how much and at what level. But it's funny how the ego wants to do that, wants to kind of thread that needle between, like, I want to be just spiritual enough so I can also be happy. And that's fine too. The only thing I'm saying is that this is what we often tend to do. But it's still the same process. You allow the ego to die this much. And when you allow the ego to die this much based on spiritual practice, you allow it to die this much. And then there's that layer of gentle joy. And you're like, well, that's good. That's good enough. You know what? And then when you meditate, you go into that place, and you go into that place where you can unwind all your crazy thoughts. And then you get to that place that feels gentle and sweet and pure. That's that revity layer. But underneath that, if you come out of the meditation and there's, like most of us, all of us, myself, all of us, then you get back into the things of the world. There's still more layers to unravel. There's still so much ego there. And so you want to trust that deeper and deeper levels of breakthrough and ego death, there's that equally gentle shepherd energy that's going to help you, and that helps you integrate that into your life. Again, but then there's the ultimate point where we become ultimately liberated, which is really our true nature, and it's what we're really looking to try to do in this lifetime, is to become liberated. That's why there are yoga practices and whatnot. So this week, we're going to see the moon go through these nakshatras. So today, here on Monday, August 20th, it's in Mula. So it's that uprooting energy. Tomorrow, around the middle of the day, is also the nakshatras are changing around the middle of the day now. So it just went into Mula around the middle of the day on Monday. So it was actually the end of Scorpio, Jeshta Mula. So today it's a good day to be talking about this because the moon is actually in that transition from Scorpio to Sagittarius, passing over this Gandanta point. Of course, this is, as I've said, totally related to the sidereal integrity of the zodiac, where Jeshta becomes Mula, Scorpio becomes Sagittarius. This doesn't work if you're not using sidereal signs. So today is that day where you're getting the Jeshta Mula and the transition from the fears and worries and stresses of Scorpio to uprooting them and planting those seeds of higher learning and higher wisdom in Sagittarius and Mula. So that's happening today on Monday. So halfway through Tuesday, it's still going to be Mula Nakshatra. Also halfway through Tuesday, it'll be half Mula, half Purva Ashada. You know, I do these daily forecasts, and a lot of times my students are like, you know, sometimes, you know, it's half and half. And I have to say that, you know, a lot of the times the sky doesn't cooperate with my forecast, you know, the nakshatras and the tithis and whatnot. It's organic. So you do the best you can to evaluate what the prevalent energy is. Today it's mainly Jeshta Mula. Tomorrow's like Mula Purva Ashada. So you'll see some of that crossover. And I just put a link here. Daily forecast. You know, I do this every day. So today my members got a overview, not just of Mula, but the fact that it was the 10th Tithi, it was Sagittarius, it's ruled by the moon, and these qualities of the classical Panchanga. I do this every day. If you want to try it, only 50 cents for 2 weeks. You can get the daily forecast as well. And then if you want to stay a member, you just pay the member fee, which is about $1 a day. So again, Monday it's Jeshta Mula. Tuesday is Mula Purva Ashada. So you see here on Wednesday is mainly Purva Ashada. We'll just say it's mainly Purva Ashada on Wednesday. Again, now Purva Ashada has to do with that watering of the seeds that are planted, right? So that watering of the seeds that are planted mainly be like Tuesday night, and then most of Wednesday. So we'll just say it's Wednesday. We'll mainly have the Purva Ashada energy. So you'll feel that sense of nurturing, devotion on Wednesday. Monday and Tuesday on Monday we're bridging that intensity of Scorpio with the planting of seeds in Mula. We'll feel a lot of that most of tomorrow, and then the end of the day tomorrow we'll feel the nurturing of the seeds. That's on Tuesday the 21st. Then mainly on Wednesday the 22nd, we're much more embedded in the nurturing quality. And you know, this is also where there is the need for devotion, and there's a lot of devotion that comes through as well, because we have to be devoted to the outcome, like I said. And the god is Appas, which is the ocean of love and devotion. Just like a mother is dedicated and devoted to her child, you have to be devoted to those things you want to grow in your life. Thursday is Uttarashada. You see the moon then goes into Capricorn. Like I explained, Uttarashada takes the devotion of Purva Ashada and brings it into the commitment and hard work and effort of Capricorn. Again, we're great when it's inspiring and fun and we enjoy it, which is the Purva Ashada, but then it starts to become work and we got to face ourselves and face difficulty and stress, which is Capricorn, and we don't get that later victory. We get the early victory. Again, early victories are easy because we just need to be interested in something, try something, and then we have a little bit of an early victory over it. It's something that's kind of developed, just like a child develops, or something in you has developed at a sort of, it's not really a, fully developed state yet. It's not really mature yet. Think of all the interest that you have where you planted little seeds and you grew this little thing, but it didn't really go all the way, right? You want thing to go all the way and have that later victory, that big victory, then you have to get in there and work hard, like the Capricorn energy. And the Vishwadevas are the deities, the universal gods, the Vishwadevas. And then Shravana means listening and hearing. We'll be experiencing that on Friday, listening to how well those things that we've been victorious over, how are we bringing them into our consciousness? How connected are we to them? How much are we connecting them with others? All those things are important in Shravana. We'll experience that on Friday. Then Saturday, you see the moon, Dhanishta, half in Capricorn, half in Aquarius. This is now where we take that victory and that thing that we've grown and developed and worked through in Capricorn, and we share it, universalize it in Aquarius. So the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, upcoming, that's Saturday the 25th, Sunday the 26th, will have a lot to do with that transition, at least on Saturday, from Capricorn to Aquarius, from our instinctive relationship with something to the universal sharing. And then on Sunday, Shatabishak, which is where we then sense that higher healing that's possible, where we can be an agent of healing and change, where we find 100 doctors and medicines to heal our own spirit. But then again, this makes a person a great healer for others as well. So it's that quality of Aquarius that also wants to heal the masses, heal the world. And again, it's based on our medicine. It's based on our healing, like you see me do. I found astrology really is a great answer, so I want to share it. I don't want to just benefit myself. But first, I got to figure it out for myself. First, you got to do all that work in Capricorn. Then you share it, and it benefits others. You want to share that. So it'll be that sharing on Sunday of Shatabishak, and then Purva Bhadrapada shows that lightning strike of inspiration on Monday, next Monday, that leads to what's beyond. We're not just here on this earth to even grow things and save the world. Again, we have this illusion that, oh, if I could just do this thing, and we all have it. I have it. We all have it. And it's the barrier, the final barrier to liberation is, one day, if I could just do this, I could be this, I could be this, save the world, this thing, I can do that. Even though it's a very non-egoistic pursuit. You don't want it for you necessarily, but you actually do. You want to do that thing. It's you. It still revolves around you. So those are the last energies of Aquarius. This is where we get that lightning strike that says, it's not about me. I'm not of this earth. So there are 3 padas of Purva Bhadra in Aquarius, and then 1 pada in Pisces. So it's mostly that Aquarius energy, and then a glimpse of what's beyond. So one of the things about Purva Bhadra is we can often be fanatical. You'll see people that get a little glimpse of what's beyond, and they think they've become enlightened because they've gotten 1 strike of lightning. Particularly see it in the West because we don't even know that there's anything beyond. So people get this strike of lightning of what's beyond, and they think they're Jesus Christ. They think they're the Savior, they're the Messiah, or they're this. No, you just had a glimpse beyond. Calm down. That's just the glimpse. That's just the beginning. That's just like seeing, oh, there's a path that I have to walk on. That's all it is. Just because you got the glimpse that you're not just here on this earth doesn't mean you've become enlightened. So Purva Bhadra can have this fanatical tendency and overstating and overblowing and going overboard about that glimpse. Think, oh, I've had this much of a glimpse. I know everything now. No. You just know that glimpse only means that you've taken the first stage of waking up. Before you were completely asleep. Now you're saying, oh, the glimpse is only to say, oh, I didn't even know I was asleep. Now I'm at least this much awake. At least I'm now awake to the fact that I was asleep. And now I'm at least awake to the fact that I'm a spiritual being that has this soul, and I'm on this soul's journey. That's all the glimpse means. But it's important because without the glimpse, you don't even know what you're doing yet. And you think spirituality is some kind of emotional state. that feels good or whatever. You don't even know until you have the glimpse. So very interesting how these things work. But all right, so I hope this was a nice overview of the week ahead. And you know, again, if you are interested in maybe getting these daily astrology forecasts, you could do that. I did post a link where you can, you know, where you can. Where does it go? I'll post it again. Okay. So you can, you know, where you can get these daily forecasts for yourself, and you know, I do them every day, and people stay up to date with where the planets, especially where the moon is moving, where the, you know, what the nakshatras are, what the sign is, what the tithi is, the lunar phase. Of course, that also includes full moons and new moons. And this week we also have a full moon. I'll be doing the full moon forecast. That's also, there's an extensive full moon forecast as well for each of the 12 signs, because the full moons are different for every sign. So that hopefully you also got something from understanding this matrix of the zodiac. This is so important to understanding the 3 sections of the zodiac, particularly when it comes to how the nakshatra stories and the nakshatra deities really dominate different sections of the zodiac. Again, those first 4 signs are about creation, and the nakshatra deities also support that. You have Ashwini, the horses, starting creation, then Bharani, Yama, constraining it. Then you have Kritika and Agni, the first, you know, the spark of creation. And in fact, the 2, Ashwini and Bharani, ruled by the Ashwins and Yama, are kind of before the creation story begins. It's like the backstory, like the energetic precursor, you might say. Then you start with Kritika. It's ruled by Agni, the god of fire. And then you get into Rohini, which is the story of Brahma, and the story of creation with his daughter Rohini, which then goes into Gemini and Ardra, you know, shooting Brahma. And there's stories about this sort of this sort of story of how the creative energy of life, you know, began. And it's tied to those signs. It ends in Cancer with Aslesha and Lord Vishnu lounging on the cosmic ocean, right? So it's really kind of what's beyond creation. And then from Leo to Scorpio, you have all of these Adityas, these deities that are overlords of life on Earth. They help you manifest and build a solid life on Earth, really, from Leo to Scorpio. It's also all the pressure of the world, but how to manifest, you know, money, delight, friendliness, friendship, contracts, building things. There are other deities also in there as well, but it's mainly dominated by this structure of life that we're all trying to have work out. We're all trying to make this solid life work out. And those deities in that section of the zodiac, when people have a lot of planets there, again, they have a lot of that. That's a lot of their focal point. Then the last section is where we leave the earth. And you see the deities in that section are very much those kinds of deities. There are these fantastic deities like the Ahibunya, the celestial serpents, and deities like even the Vishwadevas, which are a collection of like 10 different deities. The 8 Vasus, again, these 8 Vasus that come together. Shatabishak, 100 doctors and physicians. The god is Varuna, so it's a combination of these Rig Vedic deities like Varuna and Vishnu, but also these really fantastic, and also Pushan, but also these fantastic supernatural entities like, again, Ahibunya, the celestial serpent, Aja Ekapada, the one-footed goat like the lightning, and the serpents of the deep, and the Vishwadevas, the universal gods. So that last section of the zodiac where you have that start with Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, those signs that are ruled by Jupiter and Saturn, which are about, finding a good answer to this Earth situation, which is Jupiter, then focusing on it, committing to it, going through that hard work of solitude and facing our fears and transforming of Saturn, then ultimately being liberated in Pisces, that succession. It's very powerful. And again, I hope I illustrated also how those deities of the nakshatras really show this It's very powerful. And again, you know, I've been talking, I think I started teaching and talking and unfolded this back in 2004 or so. I've been talking about this a long time and explaining people's nakshatras and deities and the connection to this stuff for a long time. Really helps to shift. So you want to look at planets you have in those nakshatras in that context as well, maybe a little bit of some of the stories that I mentioned. And if you do and you have planets there and it resonated, let me know. Make a comment below about if you have planets in one of those nakshatras and if you can connect it to the nakshatra deity and the kind of story I gave, the little bit of background, and also the sign, also the Rashi, because they're very connected. And it's important to really understand how, you know, like Shravana is that part of Capricorn. Uttarashada is that part of Capricorn. Dhanishta is that other part of Capricorn. There are these sections. Aquarius starts with Dhanishta, bringing the values, universal value, and then Shatabhishak, having the pain and distress that creates healing, but then you become a universal healer yourself because you've had to heal, you know, because you've had to heal yourself. And then Purva Bhadra, that lightning strike of wanting to, you know, learn it all, figure it all out, right? So anyway, I hope you have a good one, and I'll have another live conversation with you on Thursday where I'm going to teach something really cool.